Can you see that
I can
document? Okay.
absolutely. Okay, well here, drum roll for Dr. Romano. He's a creator. He writes all this stuff. A lot of these, you think there's a team behind all this. No, he's the master. Dr. Romano, ready to get started? Don't be shy. It's such a nice group. I'm so glad we have so many students to talk to. And she has the scores up there. You push over wherever it's continued.
Okay, hi, I'm Dr. Romano. I've been teaching about 35 years. I'm from New York, so pardon the heavy New York accent. Usually what I like to do with my students is to build the foundations as far as the sciences go so you can ace this exam. The DAT Destroyer book, if you haven't heard, it's a pretty hard book. And I admit that it is pretty hard. The reason why I made it kind of hard is because the DAT has changed significantly in the past, I would say about 15 years. And I'm sure you also heard that there's a lot of new topics that have been added. For example, in biology, the area of epigenetics. That is really big now. Embryology is big. So I've added that in my bio notes as well as the Destroyer book. In organic chemistry, there was new types of problems such as NMR and IR, synthesis. For example, if I said I wanted you to go from, I don't know, say benzene, and I want you to make benzoic acid, you don't just put on a COOH group. If you remembered, you would have to say put on a methyl group, right? Do the Friedel-Crafts and oxidize it off. So you had to sort of think in sequence. So I made all those questions in the Destroyer book to emulate what you're going to see on the actual DAT exam. And I also do that in the study group. I think the biggest difficulty that I find students have is that they're not all on equal playing fields. I'm not sure, I'm not as eloquently as Nancy is, so I'll just come out and just basically say it. Most of these teachers just suck. You know it and I know it. And you're walking out of these classes, you're not knowing all the basic information. For example, I'll just give you a quick example of something that lands in the data that most kids don't know. In general chemistry, if I said to you, what is made in the Haber process? I mean, that's the first question that, that did hit. And if I said, what's made in the Haber process? I mean, I'm not sure. Is anybody able to participate or say the answer? Or is anybody have that a clue on that?
You're a little shy right now.
All right. Well, shyness is not a good attribute for a future dentist. So keep that in mind. In my class, all right, at any rate, the bottom line is made in the Haber process is ammonia. I mean, right off the bat, if this was an actual DAT, you would have been down to a 28 already. All right. Now, you might think, you know, isn't that a random question? Not really. The Haber process makes a compound, ammonia, which is $1 billion industry used in fertilizers and things like explosives. And if you remember when you did the ice table in chemical equilibrium, remember how you had to set up, start, initial equilibrium, you had to set up all them. The Haber process is usually given as an example. So it's a pretty big reaction. That's just one type of example. Other examples of things that on the DAT exam that has landed and people didn't. If I ask you Beer's law, speaking of which, I can use a beer after this discussion, but if I say what is Beer's law, that basically deals with concentration and absorbance. That if I had a chemical in here and this chemical absorbed amount of light. So it has to do with the absorbance of light and concentration. So you needed to have to understand what Beer's law is. That's what I try to do with my students. I try to decrease the amount of surprises. So you want to make sure you're aware of that. Things like Nernst equation, Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, common ion effect. All these things, and I'm not even saying hard, because the questions on Henderson-Hasselbalch and buffers were pretty straightforward, but you still need the exposure to it. So if you've been exposed to it, and you need a good review on this, that's why I made the Gen Chem Destroyer. The Gen Chem Destroyer was some of my old notes that I've made with my students here in New York over the past 35 years or so. And I wrote different chapters. So you can go through each of the chapters. For example, there's a chapter on the gas laws, chapters on equilibrium, electrochemistry, chemical kinetics. So all the different chapters. So before you would do the destroyer, that will build your foundation. If you had a really good solid foundation, you can just go right into the destroyer questions. They're pretty hard, but if you can do them, you can see from the score sheet I had here, one of the students that's in my study group, Jamie Lynn. Where was she from? Like South Carolina. She had perfect scores in the bio, the gen chem, and the organic. She was an average student, but she really took part and she really learned the foundations. Things like the biology. To me, that's the hardest section of all. I can really predict the chems really well. The chemistry I can really predict well because, I mean, let's just face it, a Nernst equation, they can just do so much with a multiple choice question, or balancing of a redox. You can just do so much. The bio is where I always tell my students we're going to win or lose the war in the bio section. Even making it up because there's just so many different topics from taxonomy. And I basically show you if you can do the ones in the destroyer, I think you'd be set.
Oh, she said they're going to have to move on to something else soon, so we need to wrap up.
Okay. But at any rate, I think you get the idea. I could go on and on and on. I guess they want me to wrap up, but I will. But it gives you an idea of what to expect on the DAT, and I think it's pretty important stuff because if you're going to go into the exam, you're going to be shell-shocked when you see what's landed on this new type of exam. All right, guys. I would like to talk longer if I see you in the study group. If you got any questions, feel free to hit me up. And you can see some of the types of questions that you'll be up against on the DAT. It's doable, though. I promise you it's doable, but it's going to be some work. All right. I wish I could give you a secret formula, to give you all the secrets, but there's only one secret. It's hard work. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Romano. Thank you. Nancy, did you want to stick around to see who won the giveaway?
I would love to see that.
Okay, let me pull that up.
Sorry, I'm glad you texted. I know, I never know how long.
No, it's all right.
Can't talk exactly. I know you have other things. Oh, you're doing a wheel?
I think so. I mean, this is the one I found on Google. All right.
Send me that wheel. I've never seen that. Wow. Oh gosh, it's exciting. Not a small print.
Ooh, Austin?
Austin. Oh, just by a hair. Is Austin there?
Yeah, Austin is there. He's in the corner, so you probably won't be able to see him.
Oh gosh, he has
the camera's over there.
What did they say? Oh, hey, Austin. Yay. Okay, join the study group. You'll be the next one for the 30s. Yay. Okay.
All right, Nancy. Thank you so much for taking your time and speaking with the students. I think they really appreciated it. And tell Dr. Romano we say thank you too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hannah. Good luck,
Of
guys.
course. Thank you.
I'm around too. I'm very reachable. So
okay.
reach out. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye-bye.